Hey everybody, so here we just finished doing some cosmoline cleaning from a second SR88A Singapore Charter, it's made by Charter Industries Singapore CIS, and I just wanted to show you a little bit about how it works just while it's in this all the parts are out of it like this. So this way I can show you guys piece by piece how all of these little things work. This thing is a little sensitive to cosmoline. I mean, most guns are, but this one in particular, because it has some pretty important little pieces that have to move back and forth, such as the extractor, the ejector, that relies on the spring pressure and it being fast enough to slide up and eject that round before the round cycles. So that is a critical component that needs to be nice and clean and move at a normal pace without being slowed down by cosmoline. So I experienced that this would not cycle properly with that part that had even a little bit of cosmoline in it. So and that was people were thinking that that was because there wasn't enough gas or something. So anyways, and thanks to LIA Publications, by the way, check out his YouTube channel. He's got cool stuff, and he sent me in the right direction to look for that issue. So it ended up being correct. So here, starting from the muzzle going down, we have the gas plug here. So the gas plug is a relatively complex little part here. We can see that it has, all your usual stuff, but it also rotates to different settings. So we have this spring that goes over it, and then this quite large for what it does piece here that has the settings of 1, 0, 2, and then on one of those it comes out in the middle, and then that will adjust the amount of gas going into the system. And then you have this little tiny cap with this little retainer pin that you have to punch out to get it out. So a little finicky, especially when you have to put it back together. We'll see if I can get this whole thing back together anyways, so that's a different story. And then here we have the tip of the gas rod. This is a different material than the rest of the gas piston, excuse me. This thing is long stroke gas piston operated, and it basically attaches from right there with that little spring detent that you can take it out using your fingers, just pushing it off. Maybe a little tool, but it's not too hard. And then it attaches to the top of the carrier. I have this in the wrong direction. The top of the carrier right here. So there's that. And then we have going down the system, we have the handguards. Those are held in place by that little screw that goes right there, and then this little spring that goes inside of there. So there's one for each handguard. The handguards are completely symmetrical and can be interchanged in whatever direction you put them in. Next we have the carry handle that is just screwed on like so, and it's operated using the little there's a little tab here which you can lock into place and then push it to unlock it. Then we have a charging handle here that I did not take apart because I didn't want to, because it's a little finicky more than the other stuff, but it basically is a piece here. There's a spring inside and a retainer inside that locks into the rail right there. You can see it moving. There you go. And then so we have that. It locks in forward position and covers the hole so it doesn't have any dust getting in. On the other side we have the dust cover, speaking of dust, and this thing flips open like an AR-15 one does. It's made out of plastic or some sort of polymer. On top we have a scope mount with I think a proprietary system that I don't know. And here we have sights. I did not take these apart either. but I probably should because they're super greasy, super cosmoline inside, and I can use those little areas right there. And then here you just push here, and that's how you rotate the different ranges. So one thing I forgot to touch on was that this little gas piston here has a little pin, so you're actually supposed to screw it in to a certain level. Not necessarily fully closed. I'm not sure how the screw, how far you're supposed to screw it to make sure it works correctly. I have pictures to see where it was, but I don't know what it contributes to. And then this locks it into that exact position that it would be in. And then here we have the gas piston in the back with the bolt. We have the bolt group. So we have first the little bolt here, and we have the extractor that goes there, pin goes there, and then that's where the ejector goes through. Then we have a little locking pin here, which the firing pin goes through and locks into place. That is the extractor, little spring there. Here is the bolt carrier, goes in like that, very AR-18 like. This whole lineage of rifles is very AR-18 like, but this is the most different than its predecessors, which are basically copies of the AR-18. We have here the firing pin, and then the two guide rails in traditional AR-18 fashion that each one of those springs goes on. And then here we have the stock, which this big screw goes inside of that little screw hole and then goes on that way, and you have to put it through like this, and it screws into the back. And here we have a sling mount that swivels, a sling swivel if you will, and then there's two screws to take off the butt plate. Nothing super interesting in there, but that is how you access this. Then here we have the lower receiver. We have, like I said before, the ejector right here. So this goes into that, into that, into that, and then goes into this little round hole right there. You can't see that. And then it's held in place by a pin that goes through, and it's the same pin that holds the magazine catch and the magazine catch spring, and that's the pin. We have the hammer. The hammer is interesting because it has a little buffer on the bottom here. It's spring loaded. So if you guys can see that. Yeah, spring loaded hammer. And then it has a little pin retainer in there, which goes right there. So that's I couldn't get those out, but really small parts, kind of interesting. It's such a small part to have more small parts. So here we have the trigger, and then a little spring, and then the main spring. And then the three pins that hold everything in place. Goes one here, one there. And then we have the rest of the lower. Oh, let me get to the pins. So we have the pins here. I don't want to take these out because I have to take out a little C bracket. And then so they basically are captive and they lock into place. There's one here, and then that little this little shape right here retains this thing in here, and also the little C bracket in there. Then we have this is the magazine release button. There's the pin that drives through, and then puts links to this magazine catch, and then there's the spring. So this goes on this side like that, and then this goes on the other side. It's not ambidextrous. Over here we have a little lower plate that retains the trigger guard. This is a winter trigger, which you can actually depress this right here and take it out. And it goes down through there, goes along there, and that's where it would clip into normally. And this is actually empty on the bottom here, and that's why it has a plate, which might make it a little easier to put back together. I'm not so sure. Here we have the pistol grip, and the pistol grip holds in, it is locked into place by the screw and the lock washer here, and that'll go through there, and then screws into the bottom here, which you'll also see there's a depression for like a hole for the selector spring. So the safety selector, here's the spring that goes into the grip. Then we have the pin, and then we have the selector right here. All right, so I think that pretty much about covers it. I think we've touched on most of these little parts here. Here's the other one fully assembled. And this one's already been degreased and stuff. This one I'll just have to oil it back up and put it back together. So we'll see how that works. And here we can see Charter Industries of Singapore. Great, thanks for watching, guys.